We're not ready yet? Okay, we'll call a meeting to order. Can I have, or actually, Economic Development and Tourism and Culture Activities, 12 o'clock on, what's the date today, the 20th? 21st, August 21st. Call to order. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I'll move it.
Okay, and just before we move it, I know Wayne has an appointment early at 1, so I'm wondering if we can move tourism accommodation levy increase. I think that's your file, is it not, Wayne?
Yep.
So if we can do that first and then the CADC presentation.
Sure.
Okay, so can I have approval of the agenda with that change? Moved by Kevin, second by Mitchell. Is there any declarations of conflict of interest?
See none?
Seeing none. Can I have approval of the minutes from June 19th, 2025? Moved and seconded, thank you. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none. Wayne, you have the floor of the tourism accommodation levy increase, which, as everybody knows, we had John Cudmore in making a presentation, I believe last month or the month before last. So, okay. So, Wayne, if you want to, I think you have a report for us.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So as you indicated, this particular item has already been to the committee, and now staff is coming back with a recommendation. So the recommendation is that the committee and council agree to increase the tourism accommodation levy from 3 to 4% effective January 1st, 2026. So the first of the new year. As you know, the Hotel Association, along with its other partners, Discover Charlottetown, Meet PEI, and the Charlottetown Special Events Reserve Fund, approached the cities, the tourism industry, with respect to this request. The last increase came in 2011, when the levy went from 2% to 3% as a point of history. Obviously, elevated investment is required to be strategic in your approach to help us grow as a destination. It's becoming much more competitive, especially regionally and on the national landscape with respect to tourism attraction. And this fund, as many of you know, is the envy in terms of how we do the divide amongst our partners and how we attract and gain new business for the destination. It's also important to note that the levy does a lot of good work in addition to supporting event attraction, its marketing, its overall community wellness, strategic positioning, growing the shoulder tourism season, along with a number of other of elements. If you do a scan of Atlantic Canada, and destinations are anywhere between 3 to 4% across the Atlantic region, and those are climbing. If you step outside of Atlantic Canada, you'll see levies upwards of 7, 8%, even higher in some destinations. Obviously, this is one of the only platforms where you can get new revenue growth in the tourism sector from where we sit today. If you look at a scan locally, 89% of the revenues are being generated through hotels and 11% generated through short-term rentals, STRs, in Charlottetown. And as I indicated earlier, we had a presentation 2 months ago, and the committee signaled their support to elevate back, and then if there's endorsement here, we'll move it on to council and continue to advance this file.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Kevin, go ahead.
Yes, and like maybe I'm getting old, but I thought when John and them came in and they proposed this 2 months ago, we agreed with it. Did we not take it to council since then?
No, there was a report to be done. They came in and made a presentation.
Oh, because we're all in full agreement with it, and I thought it went.
No, it was, we as a committee,
Must be my age or
but I
something.
mean, it
Let's
has
get
to go
to
to
it.
council. Yes, and we're waiting for a report to come from staff to put it
Okay.
together.
Yeah, because it's all the same story to us, correct? You know what I'm saying? Okay, thank
So
you.
this is just to give an update on the report since they were in and before we move it on to council, so have all the information in the package. Mitchell, do you have a question? Are you
Yeah.
good?
No, I have a question.
You have a question? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation, Wayne. Wayne, this is driven by the hotel motels. I did ask a question when Mr. Codmore was here. If you look at the overall membership, I think if you break it down, you know, hotels, STR rentals, there's bed and breakfast, and there's tourism homes, tourist homes. So can you give me a breakdown as to what the membership is saying with respect to those different sectors?
Through the chair, Councillor Tweel, so a couple of items I would indicate. So while the letter came from the Hotel Association, it's the tourism industry at large who's advancing this request, anyone who's playing in the tourism sector in Charlottetown. In terms of a membership, there's a membership associated with the Hotel Association, and there's members associated with Discover Charlottetown, and there's members associated with Meet PEI, but there's not a collective larger membership because they're all separate entities. So it's the tourism industry at large who's bringing this request forward. The success of the levy so far has allowed us to elevate and compete beyond any other city of our size in the country. So there's some great work happening here. Many of the events, and especially on the marketing side that's being done, benefits not only the hotel sector, but the broader community, STRs as well. And the other item that's important to note is that this particular tax is not a municipal tax. It is paid by the consumer, the client that's renting the property. So it's in line and trending with what's happening across the country.
Okay.
Just to follow up too, you talked about a jurisdictional scan. You talk about what's happening in central Canada, upwards up to say 7 and 8%. You did mention Atlantic Canada. So what is the average for the levy through Atlantic Canada, say Halifax, Moncton, Fredericton? What are they clocked in at?
Yeah, through the chair, Councillor Tweel, as I mentioned a moment ago, the average in Atlantic Canada is 3 to 4%. So today, Prince Edward Island is 3%, Charlottetown and Summerside. If you go across New Brunswick, it's 3.5%. Some municipalities are looking at moving it to 4%. And currently in Halifax, it is 3.5%, I believe, and they're looking at a potential increase as well.
So the ask is 4?
The ask is 4%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good.
And thank you, Wayne. And just to reiterate, I know Wayne had mentioned it, but, excuse me, this increase is not a city tax payer increase. This is collected by the tourism accommodation levies. And as Wayne said earlier, I don't know if people realize the impact that this fund makes and the amount of events and things that we're able to put on through this fund. So it's a good moneymaker for revenue for the province, obviously, and for the tourism accommodations. So anyway, so it's an increase that they've asked for, and so it looks like they have the support of their board members.
So
Okay.
it's a tourism industry which consists of Discover Charlottetown, Meet PEI?
Hotel associations.
And serve.
Hotel Association and the Charlottetown Special Events Reserve Fund. And then by default, many of the STRs that are operating, we have some great STRs operating in our city as well. When you drive in that larger piece of business, that spills out from the hotels and the motels onto those operations.
Mr. Chair?
Okay?
Yep.
Marissa?
So, Wayne, on page 6, just where I was going to go, short-term rentals, 11% is, so what, how many numbers do we have short-term rentals? Do you know that? Or there has to be a number of how many are in that pool?
Through the chair, your worship,
Or is it just on the rooms?
I'm not sure if I have the actual
No?
number of short-term rentals with me today, but we will have a better idea over the next few months due to the new licensing rollout through planning and through tourism PEI, so that will help us better align the inventory there. The 11% that's in here is 11% of revenues generated in the fund.
Yeah.
The fund is in the range of about $2 million or so today. So we can certainly get those numbers and come back to the committee, but I don't have that with me right now.
Well, what I can
don't
say,
know.
though, is revenue collection is primarily derived from hotels, which is 89%.
Yeah.
And short-term rentals is 11%.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
Mr.
referring
Chair, I'm in a conflict.
Why?
My brother.
Short-term rentals.
So what? No, that's fine. We're not in a conflict. We're not closing down anything.
Yeah.
He's
we're
just
not.
giving you an update of where the money's coming from.
That's all this is.
No,
Can I just finish my question, Mr. Chair?
Sure?
go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we just took a quick peek online through the planning department, and there's currently 205 STRs registered.
Okay. Just
So-
giving an update of how many are there, Mitch. You're not in a conflict.
There's no,
You're not making any money off it right now. Any other questions?
yeah, so I remember we had this discussion back in 2019 about bringing in STRs, and look what it came to 5, 6 years later, and has growth potential. So Summerside, do they have the same setup, meetings, PEI, Destination Summerside, and a SURF? How? Or do they put their, where do they put their funding?
Through the chair, your worship, I can't speak in facts for Summerside, but how I understand it is that it's managed through the municipality. They have a board of industry partners as well. They do have a special events reserve fund. They do have a DMO, Destination Marketing Organization,
Right.
similar to Discover Charlottetown. And I believe all of their funding might go into that project pot for events in Summerside versus the three partnerships that we have here in Charlottetown. Meet PEI does obviously work with Summerside with respect to business, but because the capital city has infrastructure, convention center, the majority of the hotels in the province, restaurants, et cetera, we're one of the largest winners, obviously.
So they don't contribute to meetings PEI?
They don't.
Okay, but we do. And I think it's a third, correct? And just one last question, Mr. Chair. In other jurisdictions, the levy is also, because as you know, municipalities only have one stream of revenue, and that's property taxes. But correct me if I'm wrong, are there other municipalities where they apply this, it's a tourism, not accommodation, but a tourism levy to food, drink?
Through the chair, your worship, I've heard of this. I can't name any Canadian municipalities outside of Niagara Falls. I know that there's a destination tax within the jurisdiction of Niagara Falls.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so but if, it's also, if you look at a receipt there with respect to at least a portion of the payment, you can challenge that. It's not necessarily mandatory if you bring it up as the customer.
Okay. I'm just asking, could we get some of
Oh,
that?
no, there's a limit of 2 questions here.
Oh, okay.
many you asking?
This is supplementary just to finish up. But that's going to move up to 3. That's going to move up to 3.
Go ahead.
So could we, is it possible to get that information just to see where other, even south of the border? I know south of the border, it's applied far and wide. Just to have that information. Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, your worship, yeah, we will attempt to get that. South of the border, many municipalities have their own tax as well, which overarches the entire municipality.
Yeah, and I would think we're not looking to, this is something that's coming from the Tourism Accommodations Group.
Just want to make it clear, not
So I
looking,
just- I don't
I'm
think
just
we're
saying
looking
that
for
in
ideas to
other
raise more.
jurisdictions,
Okay.
they have a tourism accommodation levy, but they also have a levy on food and drink to help support tourism initiatives and efforts. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Not suggesting that
if that's a
for
road
us.
the tourism industry wants to go down, then they can make note.
Moving on to council.
Okay, moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by who? Worship, okay. Next agenda item, we have Aaron Hanson here with us. Aaron and I met probably a month ago or 6 weeks ago, went over a number of topics. Queens Wharf, the Roundhouse Parkade on Queen Street, talked a little bit about the provincial project and Victoria Row and Sydney Street and so on. So anyway, today, your presentation, Aaron, is on, is it the Parkade or is it on?
It's on Province House Historic District.
Right on, okay, perfect. Yeah, you got the floor.
Thank you. This is the third time I've come before the group lobbying or abdicating for this to rise to the top of the list. I made a little slide deck here we can kind of go through. A brief history. Most of you will have a lot of this in your brains, so just so we're all on the same page. This plan was done in late 2019, early 2020, just at the beginning of the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So that has impacted its rollout. We engaged Fathom Studio from Halifax and went down a path to do a visioning or a plan for the area in and around Province House, knowing that Province House was under $100 million plus renovation. Confederation Center of the Arts is right, well, they're into it now. It's probably going to be plus 100 million too. Library moved across the street. That was 16 million. The amount of money being dumped into this little square of the city is incredible. And to follow suit, we need to be prepared to roll in behind the construction and redo the streets. Not just from a look and feel perspective, but the water and sewer beneath the street is also at a point where it needs to be replaced, whether you choose to wait for the failure or preemptively get at it. I think it's 100 years plus in this area. So when we did the plan, we did the best we could with consultations, given what was going on in the world. We did stakeholder engagements, property owner engagements, general public engagements, and shared the plan as best we could when it was finished. But it was the throes of COVID, and it wasn't the right time to be suggesting we plan a streetscape. It just wouldn't have hit, so it got put on a shelf. And about 2 years later, 3 years later, it gets pulled off the shelf and shown to the public at the library. I don't know if you guys remember this. We did an open house. We had big images of what we were planning, and the public seemed to feel like we were springing it on them. We hadn't engaged them, and I blame that on the COVID break there in the middle. The public kind of had a sour taste, and it went back on the shelf again. And since then, I've just been bringing it up each budget season, basically, to try and help everybody see that we should be trying to go down this path. So that's how we are where we are. I did that. The biggest takeaway from the plan is the change to how the streets look in terms of the removal of curb and gutter. And it's barrier-free from edge to edge, from building to building. And there's a central trench drain down the middle. And if you're trying to visualize this, think of Spark Street in Ottawa or Argyle Street in Halifax. They're both like that. That's what we're proposing we do in this area of Charlottetown. The finishes, colors, and those types of things can all be manipulated and changes, but in terms of just how you lay out the cross-section of the street, that's the biggest one for me. The plan was done in phases so that it could be implemented in phases. And there's been debate on which phase to go after first, whether it be Sydney Street now, while the work happens on Victoria Row with the Confederation Center of the Arts, or we wait for that to be the first one. We wait for the Confed to finish, and Victoria Row is the first one we do. So there's options here as to which street or which phase you want to do first. But certainly the sidewalk around the perimeter of Confederation Center of the Arts, you'd wait for all their work to be done. But Victoria Row, Richmond Street, or Sydney Street, and Great George directly in front of Province House. Those three spots all are ones we could pick off first. It needs to happen. I don't know what else to say to try and convince you guys. There are other things happening on this street between Province House and the water. The Bevins just took down a third building today. I don't know. And it fronts on Queen. That's coming. That's a big development. There's streetscapes for those two lower streets as well that I've heard people suggest should be done. So that's 4 streets then: Victoria Row, Sydney, Dorchester, and King. Yeah, those 4, all people are saying those should all look the same. Our cruise passengers walk up Great George and they pick the side street to cross to get to Queen. And the first 2 are nothing to look at right now, that's for sure. There's the challenge that I've heard is there's no commercial activity on those streets. It's just residential. So the rationale to invest money in it is not as strong as the other two that do have commercial. But it's right now, they're literally right now, they're putting it in a truck. I'd love to have conversation and questions on this, because I'm sure you guys you'll have things in your mind you want to clarify.
What are you looking from us?
Well, hold it now. And I think the idea was to come in, there's a number of topics that we talked about that hadn't been talked about for a while, to bring council up to date. This particular one, now that all the construction is ongoing, it's probably a good time to have the conversation to see, the city could probably save a lot of money if there's going to be some underground construction going on, and we have to do some underground construction. So it was to start the conversation again on like Aaron says, this project should go ahead at some point, and it's been on the shelf a couple of times. So it's to kind of bring it back to the forefront, see what council wants to do. But at some point, we probably want to look at starting it. And so I guess the question becomes, where is best to start it? And some of that could be with what the contractor's plans are moving here forward. We're going to have to, and we know it's been on water and utilities radar for Sydney, Great George, that area, for replacing the water lines, replacing the sewer lines. And we know the sidewalks are in bad shape, so that's going to have to be done. But if you can do it in conjunction with a contractor that's already got to do some removal, it could be cheaper. With the construction going on, now's the time to have the conversation and get it done, if we're going to do it. So I think that was one reason you come in, to bring it to the forefront.
My previous two asks was for you guys to budget money to do the detailed design. So it's to bring it till you have the tender document in your hand. And then when we're ready to click go, you price it. But it's 300 grand for one street, for the design. Design is typically 5 to 10% of the budget, so I think I have.
But is it in the historical area, is there any funding from the federal government, whether it's the historical side of it, or is there any funding partners that you know that would be there from the federal government?
We're trying to go through SHIF, the Canadian Housing Infrastructure Fund, because if you look at the proposed project from Bevins, it's going to be housing, commercial, and office. And that's different from this, that's a street, 2 streets down. So that has to be part of the plan too.
I expect what you would hear is, city, you should use your gas tax money on.
Oh, I've heard.
That's what you're gonna hear.
You should what, Aaron?
Gas tax money.
Yeah, but I'm wondering about Heritage Canada.
I've only broached this with Heritage Canada once, and it was pertaining to the parking lot on
Yeah.
Great George Street, and we're having challenges of it's a small lot, how do you get the money together to beautify it when it doesn't even hardly spin off any money? They won't touch any parking lots, that was the message
Yeah,
back, basically. We could go down that route, for sure.
Well, anyway, it's probably something that could be moving on to finance, let finance have a conversation on it. And finance can get their staff to look into different funding partners too. So, Aaron, while you're here, was that your presentation, or were you going to talk about, for example, the Queen's Parkade, or was there any
We
other
can talk
presentation
about
tonight?
all topics. I threw a few things on a list there that were just in my mind, but we can even go off that if there's something else you want to.
Could we just stay in the Queen Square there, Mr. Chair?
Sorry?
Could we just stay with the Queen Square? Because I have a question with the Queen
Sure,
Square.
yeah, go ahead, yeah.
So that's what you're talking about, right?
The park.
This Heritage Queen Square is the center of the 5 squares,
Yes, where Province House is, yeah.
right? And that's where Province House is. And it's the heart of Charlottetown. It was designated back in 1768 by the surveyor Charles Morris, okay? If you look at our flag since amalgamation, the 5 squares represent the 5 historic squares. So we've already...
History lesson here.
No, we've already invested in this property, and that property we invested is part of Queen Square. It's called Boulder Square. And that Boulder Square is a valuable piece of real estate, not only for the city, but for the province and the federal government. So we've already put our money in the pot. And I think we're going to be asked to put more in, because I spoke to a developer today, and they're asking about, what about this underground electrical telecommunications. This is, if we want to sell this as an historic city, then, and the birthplace of a nation, then we have to come to the table with some money. And that's why when we met with the Minister of Federal Housing, Gregor Robertson, when he was in town, one of the issues that we talked about was SHIF, Canadian Housing Infrastructure Fund. And I know developers saying, use that Canada Communities Infrastructure Fund. Well, we have many other uses for that, other than just that. And as the chair said, we need our partners at the table. We need the feds, we need the province to cost share some of this infrastructure. I think, did we not do that when we restored Queen Street? When we buried a lot of our lines underline? CADC was the lead on
Yeah, I
it.
believe there was help, yep.
Yeah, it was a tri-party effort. And Councillor Twill and I were on council. And Councillor Bernard, you were on council too, when that project was taken under the direction or under the management of CADC. So let's get all the partners around the table. But our contribution is already there. It's Boulder Park. And it's a valuable piece of historical property that's part of the five squares.
I guess what I would say is many would just consider this stuff the city streets. So down that vein, they would say that's just the city's cost alone. Now, I'm with you. We should be exploring all avenues, all partners, everyone's in on it.
Yeah, they said that with Queen Street too, and look what we
Yeah.
did.
Well, and the other comment I guess I'd make is I've noticed over time, like years and years, the types of things that the feds like to fund changes. And there was a time when streetscapes, we were doing them all the time. And now they won't do them at all. So just because we got it 10 years ago doesn't mean it's going to work out this time, same way. But we can try.
But I think first it's looking for the design.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, enough on that. Michelle has a question, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, first of all, I like this whole design. Aaron, I've discussed this with you as well. But I want to caution council, to go to finance, say we need money for design. We got other projects in the city. Like, I've been pretty consistent in what I've stated about, plan for North River Road, the plan for University Avenue, Mount Edward Road. Yesterday, Public Works, myself and Councilor Tart talked about, a redesign of Allen, St. Peter's Road, and Beasley. Like these are good projects, and I applaud Aaron for some of the things that he's worked on, and some of these other projects that like in terms of our infrastructure, vehicle traffic in and out of the city, so that people can come down and do business downtown Charlottetown. Like, we've got these big projects, so I just want to caution everyone, about going to finance and saying, this is what we're going to do, and then we've got traffic, for example, on North River Road backed up to Kirkwood Drive.
Yeah,
And
I think.
the other thing is too, I've said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again, and I put it in writing to senior management. The traffic is backed up into Capitol Drive. It's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. So, Aaron, I appreciate this plan. I really do. I mean that sincerely. But I got to tell you, I've got to, as the chair of Public Works, we've got these other projects too. So I just wanted to caution everyone. That's all.
Yeah, no,
That's all I want to do.
And Councillor Twill, that's fair. I think, but one of the things I do want to point out is, it sounds like it's one project versus the other, where the city's doing lots of projects, whether it's field development, whether it's building rinks, whether it's paving roads. Sydney Street has to be done anyway. Does have to be done.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Victoria Row, it's going to have to be done. So you know what? Instead of missing the opportunity, it's one that should be talked about now. That's all we're saying. That doesn't mean that other projects don't get done. But like every year at budget time, there's so much money to go around. But it's not we only do this or we only do that. We continue to fulfill everywhere that we can.
Just wanted to bring that to the table.
No, perfect.
Second question? And I want to bring this up, Mr. Chair, because you know why? You always say it. When the tax revenue comes in here, where does it go to? The consumption tax doesn't go to us, right? The corporate tax doesn't go to us. Personal income tax doesn't go to us. So every improvement that we do for this downtown, we get the TAL. No, we don't get the TAL because we have to split it up in three ways: meetings, PEI, destination, Charlottetown, and serve. So we put our money where our mouth is. We've done it and we'll do it again. So that's why I say that the province and the feds have to be on board. Now, you can say, well, what are they spending? What's the expenditure the province has? It's up to $145 million. Confederation Center, it's $80 million, right? So you're up to $250 million being spent just on Queen Square. You add our $5 million, that adds to the value of these projects. I believe that, that the 300,000, Mr. Chair, is a capitalized item. I don't think it's an operational item because it's going to be part of a future plan, so we can capitalize it. And I'm supportive. I'm supportive of putting that money there.
No, thank you, and I guess it all comes back to, and it's one of the constraints that we kind of have, is that we don't get any tax revenue for a lot of the improvements that are made, where the province will get their 10% of everything, the feds get 5%, and that's why I was asking Aaron the possibility of other federal funding, provincial funding. So, anyway, I think that wraps it up.
One more comment, Mr.
Yep,
Chair.
go ahead.
I'll just put this out there that the businesses are going through things with all the work around them. So for us to roll in right after and say, oh, by the way, we're going to do the street now, it's just, it has to happen,
We're
but
well aware of that.
be aware, yeah.
We're well aware. Aaron, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Good.
Do you want to give any update on the Queen's Parkade?
Sure,
Yeah,
I can give an update.
yeah, please.
Well, the latest structural assessment on the garage was done in 2024, just last year. The estimated repair bill was between $8 and $10 million at that time. In that report, there was the recommendation to add some shoring posts in a couple of different spots in the garage. They're there now, they're still there. And the report provided a repair plan and a ongoing maintenance plan after all the repairs were done. We had said to ourselves we would refresh this report every 2 years. So in 2026, we would be due to redo it. The city is working through the process of trying to figure out what's going to happen next, whether it be repair, a public-private partnership of some sort, or a tear-down, rebuild, city alone, or something. That debate is ongoing, so we're kind of just in a holding pattern until we're able to flush out all the options and pick a path.
Okay, because I think, and I don't want to have panic set in there, but it sounds like decisions have to be made soon on what we're going to do, because the structure is not great.
Yeah, I
It's
don't want to
weakening,
cause
I think.
panic or
It's
anything
weakening.
later, but you'll notice if you look at the reports, that the deterioration isn't a straight line getting worse. It's a curve. It's getting worse faster. The
Yeah.
longer it goes on, the faster it
It
deteriorates.
deteriorates,
So
Okay,
down that vein, yes, we should move faster than slower.
okay, okay.
So, Mr. Chair, are you willing to put a resolution on the floor for the study for Queen Square? Are we going to do that, or are we just going to let it go back to finance? What's your, just wanna-
Well, it's a $300,000 asset I don't believe is in the budget, and that's why I was saying it might be recommended to send it to the finance, and the finance look at it, see what they say, but we can recommend it goes to finance.
I want to recommend.
Okay, so you want to move it?
I'll move it.
You want a second it? Okay.
So the resolution's on the floor. I'm just looking at the cost estimates. There's nothing there related to the Bevins project.
No? This is, well, if you look at this on your screen there, so the A, B, C, D, E, those are all the phases. They priced kind of separately. B is kind of the one we've been focusing on, which is Sydney Street. You could pick A or E, any of the others,
Or you could add one.
or you could do two. The cost estimates you'll see, this was done in 2021. We got a bit of a refresh in 2024, a rough growth calculator added. Here we are in 25, it's even more now. It's probably 2.6 million for the street, for one of them. But I would suggest we do a bit of a costing exercise as part of the design. And the ask would be just for the design, the money to do the detailed design. That's all.
And that investment of $300,000, is that the design all of them yet?
Just one street. So if you look at Sydney Street, at the bigger one at the bottom there, that the estimated cost is 2.1 million in 2024.
I'm just talking about the design.
Yeah, so 10% of that is 210,000. So a safe bet at 3 million.
Every street's different
Every street has its own length and different, parts. Yep.
and has its own cost to
Yeah.
do the survey.
Is the 309,000 you're referring to right here?
Yeah.
Right here. What is it?
Yes,
A, B, C,
yes.
D? Yeah. Which one?
The second bottom
Can you show
line
us
item
the
there.
pointer?
Let's have his pointer on us. That thing? I don't have your system.
I have a question. So this goes to finance, and then finance is gonna make a recommendation to council to spend money on the design. So is the city gonna reach out to the other levels of government, the province, the feds, COA, Heritage Canada, and any other potential funding streams that may or may not exist in Ottawa? You know, I know some of the members of the private sector reach out to some of these funding streams in Ottawa and are able to take advantage of them. So I would strongly recommend, if you're going to explore this, then I think we need to do our due diligence here in the city, and someone's got to be looking at these potential funding streams in Ottawa. There's not just one or two. There's got to be 20 or 30 of them. We need someone in the city's corporation to say, okay, let's do a thumbnail sketch of all of them, and then start to explore those opportunities and make the contacts. That in itself, believe it or not, is a full-time job.
Yeah, I think Councilor Twill, my take on that would be that if we decide to go down that road, that our staff here would look into that, plus probably work in conjunction with Aaron and CADC.
Yeah.
Over what funding envelopes may be available for projects like this, and talking to a code and so on. So I think that would be,
Must be the
A
finance
natural.
department looking into that with Aaron, right? Or would that-
it may very well be economic development. Yeah,
No, I'm just trying to see where it's gonna land once it goes to finance.
yeah.
If you're looking for extra funding, would our finance department be joining up with Aaron and, exploring all those options? Or would it be us?
Well, I think a partnership works well. I mean, if we're talking to doing this with CADC, then we'll probably partner with them.
Okay.
Okay?
The other
No,
comment,
I'm just trying to
guys,
clarify, that's all.
having the tender-ready document in our hand makes this project extremely shovel-ready. When the timing's right, sometimes having that project to pull out.
And that's what I think is important, is having it ready to go. I mean, that's what we find with our sidewalks, streets, so on. If we don't have that plan done, that's what delays it. So, anyways, are there any other questions?
Just clarifying.
Clarification? Yeah.
Clarification
Okay.
Aaron, is Sydney Street? Is that what one we're looking at, where it's 309,000, 2024? Is that the project we're looking at, the design? Here.
If that's what we go with.
Yeah, the committee's free to choose a different street. That's what I would suggest, yeah.
That's 2024, so it's probably higher now. As we wait, it's going to get higher, correct?
Correct. The 309, I would describe as a healthy budget for the design, for that one street.
Yeah. We're going to forward that
Everybody
on to finance, yeah.
Okay? Thank you very much, Aaron, for coming in, giving us
But
that
wait, no, I thought
presentation.
we have some questions. You got your project, CAD. Could I also ask just about an update on the Houston Street Irving? Are we moving good on that?
I'll give a full update. The architecture team is committed to and shooting for a September 1st tender date. All the funders' logos are now in, and I expect a banner and fence mesh to go up very soon. the faster we can get the approvals of the bids in, like when that goes out on September 1st, it's going to close 2 or 3 weeks later. The faster we can turn around that decision, the better for us. We expect work to begin immediately and for the building to be closed in by the time the snow comes. And then for all the interior work to continue through the winter. And in the spring, we're doing the final landscaping, and the Office of Sustainability is moving into the space.
Aaron, it's always great to have you here. Probably should bring you in bi-monthly. Anyway, thank you very much for coming. Introduction to new business? Seeing none? And I have a motion to adjourn. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Laura.